Morning, everyone. Appreciate you all taking time out of your day today. Listen to this Toolbox talk about excavations. With all the trenching and excavating we got going on site for our foundations right now, I feel like great time, very relevant to have this talk. Going to go over some hazards and some safety precautions, inspections, and best practices we should be using when we're working in trenches and digging. Uh, First hazard I'd like to talk about, probably the first thing that pops in your mind when I say excavations and hazards, is cave-ins. That's the highest fatality in excavation-related incidents. A cubic yard of soil can weigh up to 3,000 pounds, so weight of a small car coming down on you. Definitely don't want that happening while you're in there. And as of August 1st, OSHA has recorded 12 cave-in related deaths. So really don't want to increase that number. And a lot of those deaths happened below 10 feet. One was at 5 feet. So, average height is above 5 feet. You think you're safe, you're definitely not. That soil weighs a lot, and we don't want to be putting you in those situations. Falls, whether it's you tripped and fell into a trench or you weren't paying attention, falling into a trench, even if it's just 4 feet, can cause very serious injuries. Gotta make sure those are all marked off and barricaded properly. Contaminated soils are also a big hazard when we're working in the ground, whether it's low oxygen, toxic gases, or chemical waste that was poured in the ground. Gotta be able to identify that. Another big hazard is struck by or caught in between heavy equipment with all the excavators, bulldozers, and dump trucks driving around. Gotta keep our heads on a swivel out there. And then also gotta be aware of all the underground utilities out there, whether we don't want to hit them and we don't want to send guys in trenches where utilities are present. Some big precautions we should be taking around trenches is a competent person should be inspecting those trenches daily and multiple times a day, especially when we get heavy rainfall or high winds and storms, either day of or day before. Make sure we're inspecting those trenches. And workers, you too. If you're in there and you're seeing something that, hey, it doesn't feel right to be in here right now, it doesn't look safe, you have the right to stop your work and identify that competent person and make sure you're in a safe environment before you continue working again. So make sure we're using our rights and keeping everyone safe. Make sure we're calling diggers hotline anytime before we dig. Want to make sure, don't want to hit any big utilities that can cause a lot of hazards out there. And don't want to be sending any guys into trenches with live electrical utilities just feet away. Definitely risking a lot right there, and don't want to be putting anybody in that unsafe condition. Also be testing all the soil for contamination, whether that's just looking at the soil water test and seeing what it is and making sure we don't have any heavy metals or oil spills from an old car shop that was there once. And even if we do have that, and we're going to work in there, make sure we have all the proper PPE when going into those excavations. When you're going into contaminated soils like that, you're going to need gloves, eye protection, coveralls, and boot covers or some washable boots, because we don't want to be bringing anything toxic or waste like that out of that ground and putting it into good soil. So leave that in there, and yep, just want to protect you guys all. Make sure we're not getting into any contact with that soil. Also, like I said before, have your competent person on site monitoring you guys while you're working in those trenches, whether that's your superintendent or foreman. They should be there supervising, making sure all the trenches are safe to be worked in. Some more protective systems and practices that we should be using during excavating is sloping or benching our trenches whenever we reach 4 feet. Can't have those trenches straight up and down. It's going to cause a lot of hazards. Greatly increases the risk of cave-ins. Need to slope that, or at a certain height, bench it off, so we're decreasing that risk. The other thing to go there with digging is our spoil piles should be at least 2 feet back from all those trenches. Don't need to be adding all that extra weight on the edge of those trenches, and it's just good housekeeping rule as well. Another thing is equipment. The excavator should not get closer than 2 feet to those trenches. If you start getting too much on the edge there, you're going to put a lot of weight and potentially cause a big cave-in with your excavator, and that excavator will be going down in the trench. So not only does it create a hazardous environment for the worker operating the equipment, but everyone else in that trench. Again, when not sloping and benching isn't always feasible during work, So making sure we're using other proper protection equipment like trench boxes or proper shoring methods. And we should always be making sure whenever we have open trenches on site, clearly mark out all those trenches, barricade them, put signs around. There should be no place accessible that doesn't have a sign or a barricade around it. Don't want anyone not paying attention and falling the site, or someone sneaking on the site and not seeing that. Huge liability issues and huge hazards out there. And a great rule of thumb is keep all unauthorized personnel off the job site. Don't need any certified visitors in that job site that probably won't have the best knowledge of what is going on that job site currently. So making sure we only have to bring safe. We want to create a safe environment for everyone on that site. Thank you for listening to my talk today. Have a good rest of your day.